At 120 miles per hour, the world outside the windshield becomes a surreal blur. The steering wheel pulses in your grip, the turbocharged four-cylinder howls behind your head, and every bump in the road drums through the seat of your pants. And just when you think it's maxed out, you shift into fifth. This isn't just speed, it's speed with soul. This is the 1988 Lotus Esprit Turbo, a car that doesn't merely go fast. It lives for it, in an era ruled by V8 muscle and six-cylinder. Teutonic precision, Lotus came at the speed game with a curveball, a mid-mounted 2.2-liter inline-four. But what a four it was, armed with a Garrett T3 turbocharger, 16 valves, Bosch Cage-atronic fuel injection, and 215 horsepower. The Esprit Turbo rocketed to 60 mph in just 5.3 seconds. That may not sound shocking today, but in 1988, that made it the quickest four-cylinder car you could buy in America. And it didn't stop there. This wedge of speed cleared the quarter mile in 14.1 seconds at 97 mph and screamed all the way to 148 miles per hour. And it did all this while weighing under 3,000 pounds. For context, that's lighter than a modern Mazda MX-5 Miata horsepower-to-weight ratio. Stellar. Handling? Razor sharp. This wasn't just an underdog. It was a street-legal scalpel, slicing through giants like the V8 Mustang GT, Porsche 944 Turbo S, and even nipping at the heels of the Ferrari 328 and Corvette ZR1. But let's step inside. Because 1988 wasn't just about performance. Lotus had been learning, adapting. They knew the Giugiaro design, iconic as it was beginning to feel dated. So they handed the scalpel over to their in-house team. The result? A sleeker, rounder, more organic Esprit. Gone were the razor-sharp edges of the folded paper aesthetic. In came flowing lines, smoother bumpers, integrated side skirts, and a cleaner front fascia. Yet somehow, the Esprit's wedge-shaped soul remained untouched. It was still unmistakably Lotus, but with a bit more sex appeal. And that attention to detail continued inside. Gone was the haphazard British switchgear and awkward ergonomics. In its place, rake-adjustable Connolly leather, seats, a new dashboard layout, and a leather-wrapped steering wheel. Sure, the footwells were still narrow, the columns still blocked the tachometer for taller drivers, and the climate control system looked like it belonged in an 80s boombox, but this was a significant leap forward. This was Lotus attempting luxury. And for a small British company obsessed with lap times, that was a big deal. But all of that fades the moment you fire it up and take it for a drive, because this car doesn't want to be admired in a showroom. It doesn't want to be babied in a garage. The 1988 Esprit Turbo was born to move. Above 4,000 RPM, the engine starts to sing. Not a guttural roar, not a silky purr, but a metallic turbocharged wail that sounds like a rally car reined in just enough to wear a license plate. The steering? Go-kart quick. You think it does it. The chassis communicates everything. Every ripple in the pavement, every degree of cornering load, it's all fed directly to your fingertips and spine. Grip is strong, 0.86 G on the skid pad, but the car's real party trick is its balance. Lift mid-corner and the tail will step out. Push it harder and it responds, not with a snap, but a slide, playful, predictable, and pure. This was Colin Chapman's philosophy alive and well. Simplify, then add lightness. And it worked. In a world of over-engineered GT cars, the Esprit felt alive, mechanical, honest, and just look at the competition. The Corvette C4 had a big American V8 and tons of aftermarket support, but it lacked the finesse. The Porsche 944 Turbo S was a surgical tool, precise but arguably cold. The Ferrari Testarossa, it had drama and presence, sure, but it was heavier, slower in corners, and twice the price. The Esprit carved its own niche, blending exotic performance, supercar looks, and everyday usability. And here's the kicker. It wasn't just quick in a straight line. It was fun in corners. It was involving. It made you a better driver or punished you if you weren't. Talk to owners today, and you'll hear stories of long road trips, twisty, canyon runs, and track days where the Esprit surprised everyone, especially the driver. It's the kind of car that turns every errand into a mission, every stretch of road into a memory. But it wasn't cheap. In 1988, a Lotus Esprit Turbo cost $64,000. That's equivalent to over $160,000 in today's money. A Corvette C4? About half that. A Porsche 944 Turbo S? Close, but still cheaper. And, yet, none of them had the mystique. The hand-built British exotic pedigree, the Bond car heritage. And speaking of Bond, yes, the Esprit had already cemented itself in pop culture thanks to 007. And even though that version was from the Giugiaro era, the shadow of that underwater Lotus made the Turbo Esprit just that much cooler in the public eye. Only 400 Lotus Esprit Turbos were sold in the U.S. in 1988. Just 88 of them were the ultra-rare commemorative editions with special badging and trim. That rarity makes surviving examples today all the more special and all the more valuable. And yet, despite its exclusivity, the Esprit never felt like a garage queen. It was a driver's car through and through. Raw, responsive, beautifully flawed. No ABS, no power steering, no traction control, just a turbocharged engine, a 5-speed manual, and your skill behind the wheel. So no, the 1988 Lotus Esprit Turbo wasn't perfect. But it didn't need to be, because perfection is boring. And this car was never about perfection. It was about passion, about feeling the road, about chasing red line, about savoring every shift. It gave you something you can't measure, in numbers or lap times. It gave you a feeling. Because sometimes, speed isn't just about how fast you go. It's about how fast makes you feel.